Hi, and welcome back to Gavin's Sonex B. It's been almost a couple of months, I think, since the last time I spoke to you. That's been because, unfortunately, back earlier in the year, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and I was booked in to have operation to remove my prostate as a result of that. In October, so middle of October. So that's all been done, and the good news is it's all removed and there's no cancer anywhere else, and it's all looking good. But unfortunately I had about a month's recovery time when I really couldn't do anything. I wasn't supposed to lift anything. In fact, for about 3 weeks I really didn't move around very much at all. But now I'm back fit, healthy again, and I can start work on the aircraft again. So I've just been watching the last video to catch up with what I was doing then. The good news is I've had the exhaust manifold modified, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. And we can carry on and hopefully get this aircraft flying. It's not going to fly now until probably next summer, but if that's what it is, that's what it is. Just thought I'd let you know that I'm all good and ready to carry on, and I'll go out in the garage now and bring you up to date. So here we are back in the garage again after probably about 6 weeks now, and continuing the saga of the exhaust system that didn't fit. And just to remind you, I tried to fit the exhaust system and it didn't fit. I couldn't get any of the holes on the flanges for the exhaust ports to line up. If I did get some of them to line up, the others wouldn't. I contacted Sonex, asked them about it. They said it was perfectly all right, and all I had to do was bend it, but that wasn't going to happen. And if I did bend it, it wouldn't have fitted anyway. Also, there was a problem with the exhaust from the turbo. That was an interference fit with the engine mount. And there was also a problem with the bracket down from the engine mount to the turbo itself, sort of like a steadying bracket, which didn't fit either. And as I probably said at the time, I decided I was going to cut the exhaust system in half, weld an extra bit in the middle. Well, I calculated what I needed to do. I needed to add 22 millimeters to the cross tube, and 25 millimeters to the exhaust that comes out of the turbo. And so I did that, and hey presto, it all fits. Woohoo! So just to show you where I've added in the extra material underneath the engine, there's a tube that goes from left to right, and there's a 22mm extension in the center. And then up here where the tube exits the turbo, I've added in 25 millimeters, and I can now get my finger, only just, but I can get my finger between the downpipe and the engine mount. Also, it's cured the other problem, and now the steadying bracket, or the strap down to the turbo, fits perfectly where it's supposed to. Also, with the help of my son Miles, we've clocked the turbo, and one of the other issues I had was lack of space between the starter motor and the turbo, and that's fixed itself as well. So I just have one sort of comment for Mark at Sonex. Mark, you were wrong. I was right. That tube between the two halves of the exhaust manifold was too short. No doubt about it. Anyway, so I've got my son over with me at the moment, Miles. He's come over from the UK. First time he's ever been on an airplane. First time he's been outside the UK. And he's come to join me in France for a few days and doing a little bit of work on the aircraft. So we'll get him to say hi quickly.
Hello.
And what do you do, Miles?
I work at Ginster's.
The pasty factory.
Pasty heaven.
And you are?
Sales and operations planning manager.
There you go. So when you're enjoying your Ginster's pasty, direct from Cornwall, he's had his hand in it. I mean, that didn't come out right. Anyway, that's what we're up to today. We're going to carry on and just test fit a few more bits and pieces, make sure everything lines up, and then I'm going to strip it all apart, and we're going to look at mounting a few things on the firewall. More later. So a week or more has gone past since that last little excerpt. Mainly due to the fact that my space heater in the garage packed up and it was too damn cold out here to work. So I've just repaired it, had to order some parts online for it, fitted them, and now it works. So I'm back out here and working for the last couple of days. What have I been up to? Well, as I said before, I was looking at the firewall, and there's been a few things that I've been umming and ahhing about what to do, where to put them, etc. So I've made some brave decisions, worked out some different ways of doing some of the bits, and I'll quickly walk you through them so that this isn't too much of a rambling video like most of mine. Anyway, we'll turn the camera around and have a look at the firewall and see where we are. So the things I have fitted are the battery, fitted and made the battery box and its retainer, the RDAC unit, finally decided where I'm going to put that, the coils for the secondary ignition, the what would you call it, the vent pipe for the fuel tank, which I have deviated from the instructions and routed down the front part of the firewall. I'll tell you about that in a minute. And also the feed through for the fuel. So the fuel pipe that goes to the carburetor will attach to there. On the other side of that, we've got a pipe which goes to a fuel filter, inline fuel filter, and then up to the valve on the tank. I've decided to do that all in 6mm. It was going to be 8mm, but I've decided that it's not that big an engine. Anyway, so the battery box. Sonex provide a sort of generic drawing for the battery box, and I've basically based it on that, but with a little bit of modification. I've bent it out of slightly thinner gauge aluminium than was called for on the plans. Two reasons: I didn't have anything that was thicker, which is a good reason, and secondly, I'm using a lithium-ion battery, and it weighs a fraction of what a lead-acid battery would do. Therefore, it needs less to hold it in place. So I've gone for a medium gauge aluminium sheet, which I've bent up and sprayed it black. And I've located it just outside of my exclusion zone where the turbo stuff goes, and The other thing that I've done which is different is I thought that the retaining mechanism for the battery, as sort of detailed on drawings, was made out of 5 different parts, I think 5 or 6 different parts. Was quite elaborate, and I couldn't really understand why they didn't just stop the thing from falling out of the box. So I've gone for a very simple single piece of aluminium angle extrusion with 3 holes in it, and I'll show you that. So the battery box, as I say, is made of the aluminium sheet. I bent the tops over with a nice curve, a rounded top to it, and it's riveted onto the firewall, making the box was a pain in the arse, and I couldn't believe how long it took me to do, and it was very difficult to drill all the holes accurately in the firewall and deburr them, particularly the inside of the firewall. It's very difficult for me to get to it now because I'm fat and old and I don't bend in half like I used to. And so the retainer is a very simple piece of angle with 3 screws or bolts into captive nuts on the other side, so it can be removed to change the battery if required. And the RDAC unit is bolted onto the firewall here. I put it here because I want to be able to get at it. I didn't want all the wiring in there and out of the way, so I've kept it out to one side so when the cover's off I can actually get to it, because if there's going to be any faults it's going to be with the connections to this unit. The secondary ignition coils, I've placed them basically where Sonex say to put them, so they are low down just above the engine frame on the firewall, either side of the center line. I used tubular stainless steel standoffs which are threaded, and so I've got it bolted from the other side and then bolted from this side as well. And then you can see my exclusion zone here, which is where the turbo, all the hot stuff and the turbo inlet parts are. And then I've deviated from the plans with the breather pipe. I made my own aluminium fitting out of an OOPS fitting and some tube, which I drilled out the OOPS fitting and then welded using the low temperature aluminium, well, brazed it is actually, low temperature aluminium brazing rod to braze the wire in, the tube in. And then I've got a short piece of flexible fuel pipe with some stainless steel clips on the end, and then I've bent up this rather elegant looking tube which runs down the front of the firewall. It's held onto the firewall with stainless steel P-clips, and then at the very bottom it has a bend in it so that it faces backwards, so that we don't pressurize the fuel tank in any way, and exits out underneath. And that's all taken me a couple of days to sort out, decide where everything's going to go, drill all the holes, wreck several drill bits on the stainless steel. It's always important to drill stainless at the right speed and with some cutting lubricant, otherwise you just knacker all the drills, and I've knackered a couple because I couldn't be bothered to get up and find the the cutting fluid. But anyway, it's all done now, and I'm quite pleased with the outcome. So I'm probably going to leave it at that and upload this video as it is at the moment, and I've got to sit down and decide where I'm going next. I've obviously well, you'll have noticed I've taken the engine off to do the firewall. There's no way really you can, well, you could do it, but it would be very, very difficult to drill all the holes with an engine hanging off the front of the thing. So I took the engine off. Oh, the other thing I've positioned, which everybody's probably going to tell me I've put in the wrong place, but that's where I'm putting it, is the voltage regulator. Normally, most people fit it to the firewall. I've decided to fit mine to the accessory plate on the back of the engine. Reason being, manifold, it's out of the way. The alternator cable from the alternator is long enough to reach there, which it was only just long enough to make it to the firewall. I am going to basically have a big earth strap from the battery to the accessory plate. So the accessory plate is well earthed for the starter motor and the regulator, and then from the regulator then I can bring forward the or bring back the cables for the charging for the battery, and I'm probably going to fit a big capacitor to the forward side of the firewall as well. My Super Gepard has one, and it does keep the electrics very quiet. You don't get any alternator hum on the radio or anything. So probably going to do that as well. But the next thing, I think, really, if we've got everything on the firewall, apart from the capacitor, oh, we've got also the oil filter for the turbo has got to go on the firewall as well, but I'll have to do that when the engine's fitted, because it's going to be dictated to by the way that the pipes are routed to and from the filter. So I'll have a look at that then. So for now, I think we'll call it quits. Not sure how much I'm going to be able to get done over the next week or two, as Katie's due to go into hospital in about 10 days now. And I'm going to be zooming backwards and forwards between here and the hospital, and we'll have to see how it goes. But when I'm here on my own, hopefully I'll be able to get some hours in on the aircraft. That's the plan anyway. Of course, we're drawing towards Christmas. Had the first Christmas meal out with the Aero Club last night. That was very nice. Well, we'll see how it goes, and I'll have a look and see what's next on the list. So until then, I'll see you soon. Bye for now.